Good evening. This is the Guilford Board of Education. It is Monday, March 10th. Welcome to our regular meeting. I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation.
Justice for all.
We have a number of minutes to vote on here tonight, a couple that were held over from our last meeting. So I am first going to ask for a motion to approve the January 27th, 2025 budget forum meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. All right, any comments, corrections on these minutes? These were held over to get a better capture of some of the comments.
I just have one minor change on page 2. It's listed as Welch Carter, and I believe the name is Carter Welch. That's correct.
Oh,
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Good catch. All right, anything else on these minutes? All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended? Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's everyone. Thank you. Okay, next minutes for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025, the second public hearing budget forum. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or corrections?
It's really small. On page 4, my name is spelled incorrectly, and then on page 5 at the bottom, it's spelled incorrectly. There's an I. So it's
Okay.
the sorry.
Oh.
Yep, so the about
Yeah, so
halfway
that-
down
like-
on page
like
4,
1, 2,
very
3.
first
Yeah,
part of the paragraph.
yeah, and then at the very bottom of page 5.
Yep. Very, very minor on page 4, second to last paragraph, Ms. Baldwin. In the middle of the paragraph, Dr. Freeman noted that currently there is a lot of confusion about the possible, I think there's an extra "the" in there,
Yep.
possible future for.
Yes.
All right, any other comments or corrections?
Page 3 at the top, Guilford. The very first line, Guilford.
Oh, yeah, we've got to do it.
Oh.
there.
There's been a lot of meetings.
There's been a lot.
Yes.
of
There have been, and these are particularly busy minute taking opportunities for sure.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate that we had held off on these minutes and they were made very clear, and there's a lot of content in them, so I can understand if you names spelled wrong, it's not.
Absolutely. Much appreciation for what it takes to take these minutes.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? So I have a motion and a second, all in favor of approving the minutes from our public hearing on Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that's everybody. All right, the February 3rd Board of Ed special meeting. This is the meeting in which we discussed and voted on the budget. Is there a motion to approve the Monday, February 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or corrections? I just, I had a couple on page 1, first full paragraph under number 2, the very last sentence. Dr. Browse Tracy noted that the town is also impacted by the same increase residents are seeing, for example, with electricity costs. I think those are two different thoughts. Because what the town is impacted by is the same medical cost increase. My suggestion was just to cross out residents are seeing, for example, with electricity costs, but if anyone has a problem with that, we can come up with an alternative.
That works.
Small typo on page 4. On the line items. 2 paras positions. It says 2 pars positions.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
On that same page, the paragraph in the middle, Dr. Balstracy noted. The last sentence, I'm gonna suggest it reads, the Board of Finance will then. I'm gonna suggest vote on a budget gets removed, vote on a budget 2 gets removed. And then send the budget to the annual town meeting, because the way that the paragraph is reading, it sounds like they might vote on the budget twice, the Board of Finance, and they really only vote on it once. So in the middle of the paragraph, if the Board of Finance decides to reduce the budget, they will provide a figure to reduce by to the town and Board of Education. It will be the decision of the Board of Education on where to make the additional reductions. The Board of Finance will then send the budget to the annual town meeting.
Got it.
I actually had one other, and Dr. Freeman, I want you to check on this. On the, thank you for keeping up with this. We're going back and forth. I'm back on page 1, the paragraph that starts Mrs. Rader. Halfway through, there's a sentence that reads, Dr. Freeman also noted that a new investment that the leadership team feels is especially important is the mass interventionist positions, and he would recommend that these not be considered for reduction. And I think especially because they have been able to offset the cost of these new positions should be removed.
I agree. Just put a period after the word reduction. It highlights.
Do we know what that's in reference to?
So there was conversation that we're budgeting them at first step teacher expense because we expect that we could likely hire 2 experienced current teachers and then hire classroom replacements, hopefully at a lower level on the salary scale. But I do agree, this makes it look like we're offsetting it with reductions.
Right, it would be an investment if we had to do, okay.
No, I think it's clean if we just put the period right after the word reduction there and cut the rest of that sentence. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or corrections? All right, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor of approving the Monday, February 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? All right, thank you. One more to go. No, sorry, 2 more to go. 2 more to go. Okay, Monday, February 10th, 2025, regular Board of Ed meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So second.
Any comments or corrections? Yeah, go ahead.
Number 1, page 1, Arnold has one.
Number 1, page 1.
Second, it says.
Oh, Ralph Spreda.
That should read Arnold.
Good catch.
Sorry.
I might have an uncle.
You might-
Everyone has an uncle, Ralph.
On that same page on 3.2, very small correction, the minutes were tabled.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then on 3.3, Mrs. Rader requested that no action be taken on the minutes of the January 28th,
Oh, right.
2025 public meeting.
Oh, right.
And then on, if we could go to page 3. In the middle of 8.1, maybe a little bit towards the end, Dr. Freeman acknowledged that this is a difficult budget year with increases driven by, I think we've removed outside.
Just cost drivers.
Just cost drivers, they're not outside.
Cost drivers, including salaries and medical
Right.
costs. Yeah.
Yeah, so remove that, please remove outside.
To be fair, I may have actually said that word, but the minutes read better without it.
And then, the last one on page 5. Under number 12, the first paragraph towards the end, followed by deliberations and March 6th and 10th. If additional deliberation is needed, it says 5th, but the meetings were 6th and 10th. Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes for Monday, February 10th, 2025 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions?
Same.
Same.
Okay, so Ms. Fenalosa and Mr. Del Ventura abstain from the vote on the Monday, February 10th meeting minutes. This is the last one. Workshop, Board of Education meeting minutes for Monday, February 24th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any comments or corrections? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Ms. Rader abstains. All right. A thank you to Terry, who had to take all these many minutes with lots and lots of people talking. Much appreciation. All right. We are at item number 4 on the Board of Ed budget, which is public comments for topics on the agenda. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address the board on topics on the agenda? All right. Seeing none, I am going to turn over to Mr. Scretta for review and approval of the expenditures for the month of February 2025.
All right, so at the outset, we just discussed the budget and the expenditures and the warrant in great detail in the operations committee meeting, which immediately precedes this meeting. So that being said, expenditures for the month of February 2025 were $5,196,134.36. Expenditures and encumbrances through the end of February were 63.72% of the budget this year as compared to 61.39% of the budget in the 2023-24 budget year. Revenue for February 2025 was $39,068.12, which includes $6,500 for tuition from Clinton Public Schools. That's a monthly payment, and that's for special ed tuition. $1,656.50 for Medicaid, $950.62 for non-resident tuition, and $29,961 for pre-K tuition. Items that are running higher for February this year than they did last year, February of last year, are salaries, employee benefits, and tuition. Of course, salaries are in a stepped increase that are contractually obligated with each of the various bargaining units. Items that are lower, however, than last year are purchase services, supplies and materials, capital, and transportation. Just to highlight some of the expenditures and encumbrances for February, there were some significant expenses on some HVAC, heating, cooling equipment. There's recurring expenses for special ed tuition. Obviously, electricity has been going up, especially the associated fees. There was a purchase of a new Ford F-350 Super Cab, which is going to help with the maintenance crews. I just want to remind the town that the schools actually do all the snow removal and winter cleanup. We do that on our own. And the high school is the only facility that gets outside contracted. So just a quick shout out to the maintenance crews that handle some snow. Other than that, it's basically, a lot of recurring expenses. So with that said, the warrant that we are submitting today has a total payments detailed of $2,108,700 $73.85.
Thank you. As Mr. Shredder said, we talked about this in great detail in the Operations Committee just prior to this meeting, but I will take a pause if any of my colleagues have anything to add or questions to ask about this. All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the February 2025 financial reports for fiscal year 24-25?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, that's everybody. Thank you. Okay, up to communications. Does anybody have any communications that they want to report out received over the last month? No, we had a lot of communications, obviously, while we're in the middle of budget deliberations. It gets a little quieter afterwards. Okay, number 7, student reps or student rep, the student rep report tonight. How are you? Good. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. So starting off with the elementary schools, at Melissa Jones, they had a PTO enrichment on March 17th for yoga. Coming up, March 13th. Then coming up on St. Patrick's Day, they're gonna have a field trip to the CT Museum of Culture and History. And then on March 19th, 3rd grade, it has a field trip to Legacy Theater. Cox had numerous town officials, board members, and parents come to Cox to read to students in honor of Read Across America Week. And as the year continues to progress, Cox will work with Guilford Mentoring to support their students based on specific needs. Lakes and the gym sparkled as they enjoyed PTO Winter Wonderland Dance. Approximately 350 people were in attendance this year. The students also celebrated the 100th day of school in many different creative and fun ways, and it's hard to believe that the year is more than halfway complete. Community members from variety organizations visited to Lakes and read to classes, which the kids loved and really enjoyed. For Baldwin, on Wednesday, February 12th, the 6th grade band participated in the band jamboree held at Adams Middle School. It was a fantastic event that showcased a performance music program of grades 6 through 12. The young musicians did a great job participating in a memorable performance with the entire district. Last Wednesday and Thursday, Nicole Sukanellis, a parent of one of the 6th grade students, visited the 6th graders to share what she has learned from her many years of experience working at Yale's Pediatric Sleep Center. She talked with their students and answered their questions as a knowledgeable other, as the 6th graders engage in their language arts unit, Points of View on Sleep. This was a valuable experience for their students, and her time and expertise was greatly appreciated. Later this month, Baldwin will be providing information to the families of Guilford's 4th grade students about the transition to Baldwin next fall. They will have a variety of information to share about their programs and school experience, and will be asking for parent feedback on their child. The transition process includes a variety of touch points for the incoming students and is designed to make the transition to Baldwin as smooth as possible. For 7th grade in Adams, students recently attended Harlem on My Mind, a performance about Harlem Renaissance at the Cape. Over 20 students from Adams participated in the CMA Southern Region Music Festival this past weekend. And this spring, Adams will hold student-led conferences for all 8th grade students for the first time. Students will use their digital portfolios to lead these conferences, showing their parents their progress over their 2 years at Adams, sharing their goals and reflecting on their middle school experience. And then for Guilford High School, as the weather starts to heat up, spring sports have started to make their way outside to begin conditioning and other preseason team building. The school, if you could hear it in the background, the play You're in Town is in the rehearsal stage, and they continue to work hard on props, choreography, and other aspects that will bring the play together. The high school is excited to see their peers on stage, and tickets are on sale and going fast. And then on a not so fun note, juniors are continuing to work on test prep as SATs come soon in April, and the sophomores have their PSATs also in April.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Very nice. I love the idea of the eighth grade doing, the students doing the
Lead parent
conference.
conferences are great. We're
Love it.
really excited. Dr. Mullen is really excited. I know Dr. Goss and I are going to try to get over and observe. We're really excited about this as an opportunity that will grow from here.
Oh, I would really love to hear. I mean, because I think many of us, right? We go home and then we say, guess what to our kid, guess what we learned tonight? It'd be great to have. That's terrific.
It's a really good practice. We're really excited that they're bringing it to Adams.
Excellent.
Was anyone else at the sixth grade band concert? Am I the only one with the Baldwin kid? It was so good. Like, they had the wind ensemble from the high school was there, who is going to Italy, right?
Yeah.
Which is
I'm
so cool.
jealous.
They were phenomenal.
too.
Like, they were so cute, and they like mixed the sixth grade band, the eighth grade band, and the high school band like all together. And they had the 3 different teachers conducting like each different section. It blew my mind. They had never practiced as a giant ensemble until an hour before they had to perform in front of all of us. And somehow like all these kids were organized, like there were like 200 kids.
Yeah.
It was really impressive.
Yeah,
That's
very well done.
great.
When I was in sixth grade, and it was so fun, especially when you're so little and like
Yeah.
playing with the big kids.
It was
It's
adorable.
fun.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
yeah, fun experience probably for all ages.
Yeah, it was really cute.
That's impressive.
Cute songs. It was good.
I also was able to participate in the Read to Grow at Cox. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I was,
So
I did it
cute.
too.
I got to go back to Robin Calpine's class, who's retiring.
Oh,
She
that's
had taught
great.
2 of my girls, and I got to read to her kindergarten.
Oh, so fun.
It was
It's
a lot
really
of fun.
special. They were so well behaved. And the way they're teaching reading now is so different even from 10 years, like
Mhm.
10 years ago. So it's.
Thank you to all of you who did that.
Oh, it was fun.
So
It was,
fun.
it was really.
Highlight of my week.
It really was. It really was. It was terrific. Well, thank you so much. Lovely to see you. Hope you have a wonderful evening. As I always say, you're welcome to stay, but you are most certainly welcome to go. I'm sure you're busy.
Thank you so much.
All right,
you.
have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Thank you. All right, number 8, Superintendent's report. Over to you, Dr. Freeman.
Thank you. First item I have is to bring to your attention a field trip that I have approved, building on how jealous everyone was about their trip, the opportunity to go to Italy. So Ms. Tina Fazio Hurlbert is in the audience to answer any questions if we have any. So we have approved a trip abroad for next February. It is
Okay.
almost a year from now that this will be occurring. It will be taking place February 13th to 22nd of 2026. This does fall during our abbreviated February break. So students will in fact miss 3 days of school. They will be responsible for keeping up with any work that they miss in those classes, and Ms. Fazio Herbert has promised to help keep them up to speed. So they'll be keeping track of their Google Classrooms, and they will be responsible for that work when they return. The trip will be going to the Babylonia Center for Italian Studies in Taormina. Close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
You got it.
And there is a cost associated with this. This is an additional cost to students who plan on attending. There's a cost of $2,600 to students who plan on going. By approving it this far in advance, we give students and families the opportunity, obviously, to budget for that. If board policy requires me to bring this to your attention, there's no action required on your part, but students out of country requires me to bring it to your attention. You are all aware of how popular the Italian offerings have been. You just heard a student say how jealous she was that she didn't get to go on a trip to Italy. We are really excited to be able to offer this additional opportunity to families and students in Guilford. Obviously, it's not something that every student may be able to take advantage of, but we're excited to be able to offer the additional opportunity.
Who is it available to?
I was just gonna ask, yeah.
Is it all Italians?
I believe any student enrolled in Italian.
It would, right, it would be any student enrolled in Italian. And because there is the number of students that they can take at any given time is 30 maximum. We need to chat about what that looks like. My thought is, seniors get priority, and then we look at juniors, etc. And the hope would be that this would go so swimmingly well that we would be able to do it again for those students
Right.
who want to keep maybe weren't able to this time around.
We would want to prioritize the upperclassmen, obviously, because they would have no opportunity for a second go around.
This is great.
Very exciting. We appreciate putting it together. We appreciate Principal Chaff's support and just wanted to make you aware of it tonight.
Oh,
That's great.
and thank you for being here.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
Here tonight or here in general?
Well,
Whoa,
I follow because we are hearing wonderful things about Italian classes. So so for sure, both.
We need your twin sister.
Well, thank you for taking a chance on introducing a new language last year, and thank you for taking a chance on me. Those of you who interviewed me and hired me, this is far and beyond the greatest experience. So thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
both.
Sounds good.
And then this is more of an update for the community than for the board. But most of you are aware that last Thursday evening, the Board of Finance did adjust the budget that this Board of Education had approved. They adjusted the budget by reducing it by $650,000. I want to say that I very much appreciate the thoroughness and the thoughtfulness with which the Board of Finance addresses their responsibility in this town. And that does now mean that we will need to adjust our budget to absorb that reduction.
That's right.
I believe we're going to announce a special meeting that will
That's
be
right.
scheduled for this Wednesday.
That's right. So we want to make sure the board needs to deliberate and make decisions about where to make those reductions to meet the $650,000 cut to the budget. And we want to do that in time so that it can be published. The details of that can be published of the budget that the town will then be asked to vote on can be published in the local paper. So we are planning to schedule a Board of Ed special meeting for 6 p.m. this Wednesday, March 10th. I am going to have to work with, I'm sorry, that would be March 12th. Thank you, Mike. I am going to have to, we're gonna have to work to confirm the availability of the space. So for anyone in the community who would like to be present while the board is having that deliberation. It's not a public forum, there isn't a public comment, but if anyone would like to be present, I am hoping to hold it here at the Guilford High School, but we will be posting the meeting tomorrow with the exact location. And I say that because that may change if this space is not available. So Board of Ed special meeting Wednesday, March 12th at 6 p.m. At which time we will be determining where to make those reductions to meet that $650,000 cut.
And we will be here at 6 with suggestions and recommendations to help you make that decision.
Okay, thank you.
And then finally, I did want to update the board on progress of the Baldwin principal search that is ongoing. The board, and I think most of the community are aware, that Mr. Doug Hamill will be moving to the position of Assistant Superintendent for Operations following Mr. Bowden's retirement, leaving us with a vacancy at Baldwin. We posted and advertised for this position beginning in mid-December. We advertised nationally, and we're pleased to report that we received 77 applications for this position before the posting closed. We tend to run in the high 40s, or low 50s for a principal position. I'm not sure why we increased the response rate by 50%, but this is the highest number of applications we've ever received for a principal opening in Guilford Public Schools. It is not just a large pool. It is a really competitive pool. Mr. Bowden and I have reviewed all 77 applications. We have met with somewhere around 25 or 30 of the applicants to really screen those applicants. We've drawn interest from Colorado to Florida, and we have some, again, really qualified, really talented candidates. Next week, we will be bringing a slate of 8 of those candidates to a representative committee interview that is scheduled for 2 days next week. That committee includes parent representatives, teacher representatives, other administrative representatives, a Board of Education rep. Jen Baldwin will be joining on that committee, not just because it's funny that she'll be on the Baldwin search. But she'll be joining us. And then Dr. Goss and I will be part of those 2 days of interviews. From there, we will whittle that number down to an even smaller number. And on April 2nd, we plan to bring some number of those candidates back to what we consider to be a performance-based interview. In that interview, we will have other teacher representatives participate. A different principal representative, Mr. Scanziano from the Special Education Department, and Dr. Goss and I will be returning. Reference checking will be ongoing during that time. We will conduct site visits if we feel they are appropriate and or necessary. And we hope to have a candidate to recommend to the board in mid to late April, early May at the latest, so that we can then begin to build a transition for that person who will be following Mr. Hamill. I also failed to note that last Wednesday, I held meetings first with the faculty and staff at Baldwin. I went over for their regular Wednesday faculty meeting. All employees, all adult members of the Baldwin community were invited to meet with me and talk to me about what they are looking for in their next principal at Baldwin. And then Wednesday evening, the PTO invited the entire parent community to come out, and we had the same conversation to talk about who they are looking for. We've also issued a survey about leadership qualities to, again, the faculty and staff, as well as the whole parent community, to help us guide this decision as well. So we've done this a few times in the last 14 years. We are excited about this, and I see this simply as one of the most important decisions that I make as we move the district forward. So we'll continue moving on.
Terrific.
Anybody have any questions? That's amazing.
Yeah. 77 is a lot.
It's, and I'm really sort of trying to figure out, we've asked a number of the candidates why they're applying for the position.
Sure.
So a lot of it seems to be that folks actually they know about Guilford and they know about Baldwin Middle School. And a number of applicants who aren't applying anywhere else except for this particular opportunity, people who are well-established as principals in other communities, aren't looking to go anywhere, but Guilford and Baldwin is an opportunity. And so they're tossing their hat in the ring.
Wow.
And we're gonna make one person really happy and disappoint 76 other people in this process.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for that update. So we are now up to number 9, board agenda. 9.1 is to act on a personnel item.
It is an unusual item.
Yes,
Yeah.
We are
I was reading
asking.
it.
Yep.
I know. When I was looking over it before, I was like, wait.
Resignation.
We previously approved resignation for purposes of retirement for this individual. He has reconsidered his decision. He's not ready to go, and he is asking the board to rescind that approval. I am fully in support of this. We would be happy to have Dr. Brillman in the high school for another year, and we're asking you tonight to rescind your approval for resignation.
All right, and this is purely a question. The rescind effective date, the 2/11/2025 is when he made that request to you.
That's correct.
Okay. Just
So
curious. Okay, so we are being asked to rescind the resignation for the purpose of the retirement for the following teacher, Harry Brewer. Is there a motion to approve rescinding that resignation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
thank
Right,
you.
well, that is unanimous. That's always a fun one, keeping someone good, right? Okay, 9.2 and 9.3 go together a little bit. 9.2 is to act on participation in the healthy food option of health food certification. So districts in Connecticut that participate in health food certification receive additional state funding to allow the Connecticut nutrition standards for all foods sold to students separately from reimbursement school meals, i.e. competitive foods. So this is something that we do every year. We need to vote on participation in the healthy food option for healthy food certification. And then the second part of this is that as part of this, we then act on food exemptions for the choosing healthy food option for the health food certification. So there are then exemptions to that that work around various activities that may happen after school hours on the weekends in our buildings. So we have in front of us both the healthy food certification and then the State Department of Education write-up of the National School Lunch Program and the healthy food certification. So what I'm going to do is put forth two separate votes, and I'm going to ask for motions and then approval of each one separately. As board members who've done this before may remember, we have to vote on very specific language, so I'm going to be reading it out specifically. I am happy to take a pause at a moment to see if anybody has questions, either about the healthy food certification, the National School Lunch Program, or any piece of this.
I have two questions.
Sure.
At the top of page 1 on the healthy food certification summary, there is the definition of competitive foods and then completive foods. Is that a typo, or could you explain what completive foods are? You see the underlined, bolded in the first paragraph.
Yes, they do. Completed foods are any foods and beverages sold to students anytime on school property.
Or where we.
Other than
Sources of competitive foods. So they don't give, you're good. I missed that when I was reading through it.
Dr. Freeman, do you see, sorry, at the top of page 1.
So there's a
the
Page 1 of 2, yes.
very first paragraph, the third line, the word, it says competitive foods, period, and then completive foods.
Above
I
that.
am going to suggest that that is just a typo,
Typo.
that the word should be competitive foods in all three uses.
It's an explanation of the word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It should be, I believe it is the same word in all three uses that you see there.
Okay. There's a second point that I noted on page 2. Also in bold in the middle of the page, the BOE is required to vote annually on 2 pints.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's appropriate for a food.
Yes.
Parts, please.
two parts. Yep.
We're referring to the British version.
And I didn't see, to your point, I mean, I think we've concluded the question around competitive versus completed, but it wasn't in the second. So I think it's the competitive.
Yes, and I think those were both typos in our supportive documents. Neither one of them will play a part in the motion
vote.
that you make or vote on
That's,
tonight.
yeah,
I
thank you.
think it
That's,
was-
and that's important.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, so, the first vote, is a required vote for participation in food healthy option of HFC. So this is what we're going to be voting on. Pursuant to CGS section 10-215F. The Guilford Public Schools certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2026. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises, sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups. So I am going to ask for a motion to approve our participation in healthy food option of HFC with that language.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I should ask that question before.
I'm sorry, and I should have taken the time to ask the question.
So I apologize. I don't know how to proceed.
I think it would be okay to pause,
I'm
answer a
happy
question,
to
and then
do
ask
that.
you to cast your vote if you're
Just-
I'm
comfortable
happy
doing
to do
that.
that, and
Yep.
it is my fault. I should have paused and offered an opportunity for more discussion.
I was just curious about the way that the fundraisers work within the school. To make them competitive, just in terms of like the logistics of that. So does that mean like items within a bake sale that a club wants to have or something, they need to get their offerings reviewed to make sure that's.
So, yes, and the fact is that we often simply don't do anything of that nature unless it falls under the exceptions that will be defined in the next motion. So because that would be so complicated, we don't do general bake sale fundraisers at the schools unless they fit into the exceptions as defined in the next category.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Can I go with the ayes?
Yes, you can. And I truly apologize. I should have stopped. Okay. So what that means is then we have a unanimous vote on part, for the first vote. The second vote, is to vote to allow food and beverage exemptions. And here's what we're voting on. The Guilford Public Schools will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 1021Q of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Read that section again.
Did I
I
miss?
said 21.
10-2-21.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, starting again. We had to revote when I misstated a word last time. It really does have to be exact. Okay, this is what we are voting on. The Guilford Public Schools will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 10-221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. Number one, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. Two, the sale is at the location of the event. And three, the food and beverage items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food and beverage sales.
So if I may, for example, the snack shack at Friday night football games fits these exceptions, and there is food sold from the snack shack that falls under these exemptions and raises money for the program. During the high school spring musical, there will be food being sold in the commons during intermission that meets these exceptions and raises money for the theatrical program. We simply don't do any food-based fundraisers that don't meet these descriptions.
Can I ask a clarifying, just because it's happening right now at the musical, they have tech week. And they order dinner for the kids, the parents pay a certain amount and they have dinner for them each night. Is that under an exception or?
That is not us selling food.
Right.
That is in fact the students who are staying late, brown bagging the food.
Right.
There's just one night where the parent, one or a few nights where the parents collaborate and brown bag collectively.
Exactly.
Rather
Okay.
than asking
Okay.
each student to brown bag individually.
Perfect.
All right, so can I have a motion on this second vote as read?
So moved.
Second.
Any additional questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Excellent, thank you
Yeah.
for catching me, so
Otherwise
we
you'd have
didn't
to
have
do
to
it
come
again.
back next month and do it
Last
again.
year.
We did have to do that last year. All right, 9.4 is to approve donation of $3,610 from the Guilford Dugout Club to pay the salary of an assistant baseball coach. Is there a motion to approve this donation?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Is this for this upcoming season?
Yeah. it's
Yes, I believe it is.
2025.
Great question. Yep.
Yep. For the spring
It is
25.
my, yeah, the funds are donated to pay the salary of the assistant coach for the 2025 season. One question. And as we often do, we do want to thank the GHS Baseball Dugout Club and all of our booster clubs that do so much in support of our teams and our music program and our theater program, to name just a few. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the donation of $3,610 for the Guilford Dugout Club to pay the salary for an assistant baseball coach, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, everyone, thank you. All right, so we have a number of items to receive from the policy committee.
Okay, the first one is policy 3724 on dining services and meal charging. This is really just the policy catching up to the action that's already in place. So I'll read through just the changes to this policy for you, assuming that my computer, which has kicked me out 5 times tonight, stays. Just stay for another second. Okay, so accounts with unpaid meal charges reaching 30 meals will be referred to the McKinney-Vento Act for the McKinney-Vento Act Homeless Liaison. By the 30th of each year, the unpaid meal debt must be reimbursed by the Board of Education funds and not the nonprofit school food service account. So we are already doing that. This is just the policy catching up to how we've been handling it.
Okay. Excellent. And tonight, these are receive items. We will be voting on these next month.
Yes. The next one, this is great to get rid of. We are just going to be striking or requesting that we vote to strike the operations of schools during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I just want to note, during the policy committee conversation, there was a really thoughtful question about, shouldn't we hold on to things like this in case there's another pandemic in the future? The response is that the conditions of that will likely not be identical to the conditions of the COVID-19. So since we have passed through these conditions, we should strike all of this. And should we have to make accommodations similar to this again, they will be tailored to the conditions at the time. So there's simply no reason to hold on to this anymore. We're simply asking for a complete deletion.
Yeah, right. So that's a fun one to get rid of. No one wants to go back there. And then lastly, this is lengthy. So everyone take a few minutes over the next month to read through policy 5005, which is the Connecticut School Climate Plan. So this is really the plan that outlines the way that each school can take a poll of their climate and report back. It's got to do with social and emotional learning, emotional intelligence, bullying. It kind of covers every topic that you would want considered under a school climate evaluation. And this policy is also changing just to keep up with the changes made at the state level as they exist today. We shall see if that changes, but
We are required by the state to adopt the K policy.
it is pretty lengthy and self-explanatory as you read through it. So we can discuss it tonight. We can discuss it more once everyone's had a chance to read through it.
I do have a question. Does it have so many of our policies have a companion regulation? This does not.
It will, but the state requires the adoption of the policy and has a time set for that.
Okay,
The regulations will be coming at a later date.
great.
And this is a complete replacement as well, correct?
Yeah, this is a,
This will be adopted in full
A
to
brand
replace
new-
the existing
Right.
language.
Is this state language or is this our language?
Was language that was crafted by CABE, but the state requires adoption of the CABE language.
all right, are there questions that people have on it now? And if we use our usual approach and receive this month and vote on it next month, are we still in compliance with the timeline?
Okay. Goes into effect, in July.
Oh, okay, great. Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, number 10, reports of committees. Policy committee, do you have anything else to share with us? Okay. Operations committee, anything else to share out? Curriculum instruction and assessment committee?
Nothing new.
All right. Liaisons to town committees, anything to share out? No, okay, and no report for Learn. We are now at number 11, which is public comments. These do not have to be related to the agenda. If anyone in the public would like to address the board, we ask them to come up to the podium, give their name and address, and limit to 3 minutes if they can. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? All right, hearing none. Any closing remarks? All right, I will just then, the last thing I'll note is something we just mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. This Board of Ed will meet this Wednesday at 6 p.m., Wednesday, March 12th. The location will be identified on the posting for the meeting that goes out tomorrow. I am hoping we can do it here in the Guilford High School, but because this is a special meeting that we are only scheduling now, we'll need to make sure that we can confirm that location. So people who are interested in coming to watch the board deliberate should please look for that posting.
Actually, Dr. Tracy, I should have mentioned this during my report. I guess it is important to remind the community of the town meeting
Oh, that's
that
right.
is scheduled for April 1st related to town and school budgets.
Yes.
And then the referendum, which will be scheduled for April 8th related to town and board budget. It is important for community members to participate in both of those events in person on April 1st and by referendum, your vote on April 8th, to vote your mind and to be part of the decision around these budgets moving forward.
Absolutely. Any other comments before we close? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.